If you have a fair shop that's already making some sales, but the orders are still inconsistent, retailers aren't reordering, and you still cannot figure out why, I need you to hear this. It's not because you're not working hard enough, and it's not because your products aren't good enough. It's because you're flying blind. And there is data sitting in your fair dashboard right now telling you exactly what's working and what's broken. But no one has ever taught you how to read it. And so you spend time just guessing. I know because I've been there. And you change random things and hope something sticks. And here's what that guessing actually cost you. The average fair seller doing around 10 orders a month is leaving somewhere between $17,000 and $70,000 in profit on the table every single year just by staying stuck. My name is Andee, and I built and scaled my own wholesale brand on Fair from the ground up. And I'm one of a handful of sellers and industry experts that Fair pulls in to test the platform, which means I see how the algorithm actually behaves, not what the forums and the other coaches are teaching you, but what Fair actually rewards. And I took everything I learned and turned it into the Fair 5 framework. It's a 3-phase system that moves you from inconsistent orders to a predictable wholesale revenue engine in just 90 days. It's visibility, it's positioning, it's conversion, it's reorders, and a momentum that compounds. So this is not just a course that you watch once and forget. It's a growth operating system. Just a few extra wholesale orders, which you will gain quickly throughout this program, will more than pay for this course. So if you're done playing small and fair, if you're ready to stop guessing and go beyond the visibility and drive real conversions and reorders and get help along the way, learn more and apply at fairaccelerator.com or at the link in the show notes. I'll see you inside. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andee Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. Welcome to the She Sells Differently podcast. My name is Andee Hart, and I am your host. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. And I'm doing something a little bit different today because I am on the road driving back from Nashville, visiting a dear, dear friend of mine. For those of you that don't know, I lived in Nashville for like 8 years before North Carolina, and of course, then moving to Arkansas. And so I have just a dear, sweet friend, and we have not seen each other in years, but we have had this long weekend planned, and friendship is truly refreshing for the soul, as it says in Proverbs. And so I am leaving my weekend in Nashville with my friend, just feeling so encouraged. And this is a little bit of a bonus for you, but I think it's so worth saying. She is one of those friends that just encourages you and makes you feel better about yourself when you are around them. And I don't mean that in the way that someone would say, Andee, I love your outfit or your makeup or whatever. I just mean that she encourages me to be more of who God intends me to be. And that is a true friend. And that's one of the many reasons, but I would say the foundational reason of why we have stayed good friends over the years. But the reason for this podcast episode is to let you in on a little bit of a entrepreneurial conversation that we had. And I thought it was worth articulating in an episode because we were working through in her life. She's about to go through a big life change with her husband changing jobs. And what does that look like for her career? And what are her options? Now, she still works in the corporate world, but she was running quite a few scenarios by me. And so it led to the conversation that you might have heard me share about briefly before, but I've never dedicated a whole podcast episode to it. And it is my PEG method for understanding and, no pun intended, pegging your area of focus and niche as an entrepreneur or a business owner. Now, I use PEG as an acrostic because PEG, those are the three things that are kind of the gates or the foundations that you need to be able to succeed. Now, there are a ton of other things that you need to succeed as an entrepreneur, but these are foundational and they come from years of observation, experience in my own life with family members, with good friends, with colleagues that have been successful as an entrepreneur and whatever they are creating, building, whether it's product or service based. And so I'm going to give you those three, but then I'm going to talk about what happens when one of those foundational pieces is missing. And my goal is that you gain clarity from this conversation and understand if you are feeling like your business is plateaued or are struggling to grow or you're just burnt out, it could be one of these foundational pieces is missing. So let's get into it. Now, the first foundational piece is P for passion. You don't have passion for what you create, what you offer, the service that you provide. That shows and comes across in all of your sales and marketing, hands down. Not to mention that you are going to burn out so quickly. And so having a passion for the product that you make, the service that you offer, is going to help you in the roller coaster life of an entrepreneur because it is a roller coaster. And there are going to be times where that passion waxes and wanes. But at the end of the day, you innately love what you do. The second in the PEG method is experience. So we have passion and then we have experience. Now, it's important to note that experience and passion can be interchangeable, meaning one could come before the other at any time. I have seen a lot of people that had a passion for something. So then they went and gained that experience creating or making or offering whatever their business is built on. But having experience is important. It doesn't mean that you have to have 17 years of sales experience to go do something or have to have years and hours of experience to create something and do it with excellence. But you have to have some type of experience in order to create a standard of excellence. And so we have passion, we have experience, and the third is the G, and that is God-given talent. I have seen so many people that had a passion for something, had the experience, but genuinely did not have an innate talent, or they had a more focused innate talent somewhere else in a different industry, a different niche, and it might be time to pivot. And so this is where the conversations with people that know you very, very well and good friends and family can really speak into your life. Because if you notice a certain skill or craft or fill in the blank that people are always telling you, hey, you are really good at that. Naturally, like you just really have an innate skill, God-given talent, because God gives us all talent and gifts. These three foundational pieces create the building block for a standard of excellence in your business. If you don't have the passion, you are going to burn out. If you do not have the experience, then how can you learn and develop that skill and that passion? And if you don't have the God-given talent and skill, you are going to be frustrated at your level of excellence and the lack of excellence in your product or your service or your offering. I'll give you a prime example. If I might have a passion for medicine. I might have a passion to go be a doctor. And I might actually go to medical school and gain experience doing that. I'm sure if I had studied hard enough, I could have been a doctor. Here's one thing I know. I do not have a God-given talent an innate skill to go be a doctor. That is not what God created me to do. And so obviously I chose a different route. Now you could throw in 100 analogies there, but just because you can do something doesn't always mean that you should or it's where God is calling you. And so as I wrap up this episode, what I want you to do is sit down with those closest to you and have that conversation about what you're passionate about your experience, and about where they see God's gifts and talents in your life and your skill set. And that is really going to help you hone in on where you want to take your business, the direction you want to take your business, the clarity that you need to grow, or maybe to pivot your business to where the Lord wants to take you. So I hope this helped give you clarity on my PEG method. I thought it was a interesting conversation that I had this weekend and wanted to share that with you. And I don't do this often, but if you want to have a 15-minute conversation with me on this topic and talk about your passions, your experience, and your God-given talent, I most likely don't know you personally, but I'm happy to ask some specific questions that walk you through that. And you are free to schedule a 15-minute call. I only have a few spaces available, so first come, first serve, but I would love to walk you through that because I absolutely love helping people, give them direction and strategy in their business. So grab one of those spots at the link in the show notes. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If it resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone and leave a review, because the reviews truly make the difference in me getting this podcast into more listeners' ears. So until next week, I am cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.